know that you're part of us.
Yeah.
And so I officially want to welcome you today. Amy and I have an incredible program that is really something that's coming from deep within our heart and is actually an answer to an invitation that both Amy and I have received. And so, Amy, do you want to introduce the program?
Sure. I'm trying to go live here. So today
Oh,
we're going to talk about shift from manifestor to creator, right? Because there is a distinction. You're going to
yeah.
learn the secrets to finding the courage, commitment, and heart needed, sorry, to bring your empowered vision to fruition. We are Marcy and I, we did our show last month on creating a vision. We did a workshop around it, or for those of who attended.
A
Uh,
fabulous workshop, by the
Very
way.
powerful. And, this idea of being the creator and shifting out of this manifesting, passive manifesting on many
Mhm.
levels, but actually stepping into being the creator of your life is what Marcy and I are really passionate about. And
That's
we
right.
have found that in doing that, it's more effective. People are having more results. We are really owning who we are and letting go of things that are no longer serving us. And so we're both excited about
Yes.
this program and about our upcoming workshop for this program. Um, as you know, we are live with Marcy and Amy, the Heart Centered Woman, and we have a monthly live, which we invite you to an event where Marcy and I talk and we share our wisdom and we support you in the live Q&A, which is
Mhm.
directly after this show. If you want to jump on, we'll put the link in later. And this heart idea of being heart centered is so important to Marcy and I
Yeah.
because um, coming from the heart and coming from this really soulful place used to be thought of as being weak
Mhm.
and not valued. And today it is of a high value. It
Of
is a
course.
high value to be a heart centered woman. And in that, we must let go of these ideas that we were taught and these beliefs that we took on about being a heart centered woman as being less powerful.
That's right.
I really wanted to kind of touch on that today, right
Mhm.
now. And
Yeah.
so, Marcy, why don't you introduce yourself
Mhm.
or
Yep.
yeah, share who you
S-
are.
Absolutely. So I'm Marcy Newman, and I'm known as the Heart Shift Coach. This is my 50th year of helping people to heal their hearts. And it has been such a privilege to both witness the evolution of the collective consciousness as well as the uh, individualized growth that I have seen in my clients all around the world, as well as in myself. When I think about who I was when I started this journey and who I am now, I am light years away from who that person was. And yet, of course, I carry her with me. She was the pioneer in all of this. And so, with my work, my focus is on helping people to cultivate the courage that it requires to really follow your heart, to love yourself enough to follow your heart, and to create a life that is based on that heart centered connection. You'll hear from both Amy and I as we go on today, like just how life changes when you start to step into and own who we really are. And it's Amy's and my belief that we are divine creators. And so we must step in. We must actually begin to embody that. And so, in the work that we do together and individually, this is always in the forefront of what we do.
Mhm.
So, with that, Ames, do you want to introduce your work?
Yes, I'm Amy Shade. I am the creator of the Radical Embodiment Method. I'm also a recovered hider and hesitator, which really doesn't work as a dancer, performer, and now entrepreneur and coach. You must show yourself. You must participate when you want to be a creator, and you are a creator. Um, and so I am. I I know what it feels like to really desire something and want something, and know even I'm capable of it, but not taking action on it, not moving forward with those dreams and those thoughts and those beliefs that I have, in either in relationships or business or my friendships. And so I really encourage women to step into being the creator that they were born as, stepped into that divine right as a creator. Um, and to really release and let go of that hiding and hesitation and people pleasing and all the things that we were actually trained to do. Um, and that just doesn't work anymore.
Right.
It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't ever satisfy us, putting ourselves second, third, fourth, fifth. And so I really support people in really putting themselves first in a way that's creative, in a way that's conducive to their divinity of being a creator.
Right.
And so this is part of our creations as creators. Marcy and I, we create these shows every month, and we came together as two creators to really co-create. You know, this idea of taking over and competition is gone.
That's right.
It's gone. It's not needed. We don't need it. And so this is Marcy and our mission each month, to bring this to you and to really explore and to explain and to dive into your what you are going through in our live Q&A afterwards. If you choose to jump in, we of course want you to. So what do you want to do, Marcy? You want to start? Are we ready to go?
We are ready to rock and roll. And as a matter of fact, what I would like to do is to start off with two quotes this month, because I felt that they both really spoke to what we're doing. The first is to know yourself as the being, and that's with a capital B, underneath the thinker, the stillness underneath the mental noise, the love and joy underneath the pain is freedom, salvation, and enlightenment. That's from Eckhart Tolle.
Mm.
And the second one that I want to share is this, and you're just going to feel the freedom of this. It says, you can be cautious or you can be creative.
I like
But
that.
there's no such thing as a cautious creative. And that's by George Lois. And that speaks directly to Amy's and my hearts. I can tell you that right now. Yep. There is no place for being cautious in creating, because as you're going to find out, it comes from a completely different place. Okay.
So we're going to go into it. And I want to
Yep.
remind everyone that we are being recorded. So if you don't want your image on it, go ahead and hide your image, but stay
Yep.
with us. And
Of
I'm going
course.
to start because I think your question sets up the whole shebang,
Okay.
the whole show. So Marcy, I want to ask you, what is the difference between manifesting and creating? And how do you know which energy you're in?
Great question. And I'm going to begin like this. The difference between manifesting and creating is actually quite basic. Manifestation essentially tells you where it's coming from in the word itself. It is how man brings to life its desires, the human, right? So it's how man brings to life its creations, its desires. Creation is only accessed through the heart. Creation happens from a conscious place when we are heart-centered. So you might look at both of those things and say, well, aren't both aspects of creating? The answer to that is yes. But what Amy and I are here to introduce to you is the difference between looking to consciously manifest as opposed to consciously creating. When we look at manifestation, there is one thing that is always present. And it doesn't matter to me how successful of a manifester you are, there is a certain aspect of fear that's always involved. Because what will happen as manifestation is a mental process, the ego will always jump up and it will attempt to divert you, to distract you. And of course, how does it best do that? It introduces self-doubt. It introduces, who do you think you are? It introduces, I can't believe you're doing this again. It was a disaster last time. Oh, remember when you wanted that red bike and you never got it? And, all of these things. So it pulls up everything from the past. It presents it as if you're supposed to accept it as your future. And it completely sabotages your efforts. Of course, if as you have been practicing it more and more, you might be able to reduce that. But 100% of the time, there will be some inkling of doubt that is involved in that process. When you are stepping into embodying yourself as a creator, there can be no fear, because in that level of frequency, fear doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So it's the difference between tapping into, tuning into worldly vibrations, which we know are just denser by nature. It's a difference between tapping into those denser energies to bring something to life, as opposed to reaching high through the heart and into the higher vibrational frequencies in order to create. So you can see these two aspects are worlds apart. And what I want to emphasize is that this new world that we're looking to create cannot be created from the old energies. It's the denser worldly energies that created the world that we're in, right? So we have to move above and deeper within in order to now access the frequencies that have the capability of creating this new world that we're all working so hard to envision. Remember this, in manifestation, and by the way, the manifestation, and you might have heard me say this before, or maybe it was in our workshop last month, but it was a stepping stone for us. It was to introduce to us our power. But now we're being called. This is a higher calling because we have a higher mission. This is bringing to life this vision for this new world and a different way of being and living for each and every one of us. That is for the highest good of us all. So that's how I see it. I see it as two completely different worlds, and I know which one I want to live in. So having said that, Aim, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, I want to talk about what you just said a little bit, make a comment. I'm ready. Go.
Okay. Is it something you want to save for the workshop that we're doing?
No. I just want to go ahead with the question.
Okay. All right. So I understand, by the way, I mean, it's really so, it just, your whole consciousness starts to, reach for those higher frequencies, right? And we
Yes.
just start that whole process. So okay, so here's your question. Why is courage such an important value to embody when you shift from manifester to creator?
Yes. Um, Couple things is, when you think about manifestation, to me, it's such a there's a space between me and it. There's like this outside energy to it. And as you said, since we have been living in the low energies, many of us, and we have not really shed them and really come to this new higher self of higher energies, it's very, difficult to move from a place where it's not even a strong foundation of self, right? So we're
Mm,
working from the foundation itself is shaky. And our mission and our job is to really create a strong foundation of
right.
self, right? We must really learn how to do that. And really, that's where you get to be the creator and the creative. Now, why is courage important? Because you're going to be the one person in the room speaking differently.
Yeah.
You're going to be that one person in your relationship, friendships that are going to be like, I don't want to go down there anymore. This is who I am.
Yeah.
You're going to be that person who chooses the light, chooses the higher energies, chooses the energies that actually raise your vibration of being heart centered. And many people around you are not going to like it. And this is a twofold, right? So some people aren't going to like it and they're going to leave. And then some people are going to learn from you. And I have found this in my friendships and in the coaching that both of us do is that when we focus on the higher energies, when you got the choice in front of you, it really takes courage to go for the high energy instead of the low energy. And the only reason why it takes us courage to do that is because it means we can't be a victim anymore. We can't blame people anymore, and we can't be helpless anymore. So this is why it's also takes courage within self to
Yeah.
decide I'm going to release my parents, my spouse, my ex, my whoever. I'm going to release them of the responsibility for my happiness. I'm going to release them for the responsibility of my life and where it's going. And there's great freedom in that. And unfortunately, we've been taught to blame, blame, blame. And that is that old way starts at a young, starts from the
Mm-hmm.
womb, right? We're in the room. It's like we're receiving these energies. We're receiving energy, energy, energy. And if that's all we know, that's what we do. And so it takes a lot of courage to be faced with something and think, wow, I actually have a choice here. I can go with the old way, or I can choose the light. I could choose the higher energies. And so those are defining moments. I mean, I had one last night, right? The defining moment of feeling helpless and I don't know what to do. And, or, you know what? I'll take care of it tomorrow. Whatever happens, I'll figure it out, right? These are the shifts of being the creator. Um, because it's been real easy to just go down to that helpless role.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, as a creator, it's not a position of empowerment. It's not a position of being that creator of self and the world that we live in on your daily life, in your weekly life, in your friendships, and then all of that goes out into the world, right? So that's the mission. I've said this before, I'm the butterfly. I will flap those high energies out. I will be the butterfly in most situations. Sometimes I mess up, but everyone does. And so, with that, I want to ask you, Marcy, what is the necessary energy formula sequence to start the transition from manifester to creator?
Mm. Number one, I want you to know you already started by being here today. You already started to ask yourself the question, what if there is a difference between being a manifester and a creator? And you answered that inner inquiry. That is your first step. The first step is always to continue to expand your own consciousness so that you are automatically wanting to expand your awareness of self. This is always the first step. And so I want to say kudos to every single one of you who is here, because I can tell you there'll be a lot of people who, read that title of our show and totally didn't get it, right? And were not even intrigued by it. So what this says to me about you is that you have done an incredible job of giving yourself permission to step outside of the box, to step outside of the mainstream thought. This is brand new. When Amy and I first started to talk about it, we knew that this was going to be an introduction to a higher concept that may take time. But because Amy and I are creators, we simply started to create the vision. So, what did the vision look like? The vision, from my perspective, was a vision of highly enlightened people who were willing to accept that they are divine beings, that they are coming into the recognition that we are here with a purpose. That purpose is to create. So, in order to be in purpose, in order to be fulfilled by the life that we have here, and like Amy said, you can be sure that you know, may be subjected to some resistance to this by others who are naysayers. But this is where creating that foundation where you are nurturing and nourishing your connection to source energy, so that source energy is a natural projection, right, or extension out of you. So this is where we start to accept we're being called to a higher mission. It also means that we've done a great job at, accomplishing what we are meant to accomplish up to this time. And that we have beautifully raised our vibrational frequency to be able now to start to integrate these higher frequencies of the creative life force energy itself in a conscious way. So, what Amy and I are going to talk about in our workshop next week is like how to choose those vibrational frequencies, how to access those vibrational frequencies, and how the strategies of staying on track are so important to embody. So, what Amy was talking about in terms of courage, absolutely. So we start off with this willingness to think outside of the box and accept that there's more to us to be revealed. We have purpose, and to never doubt that for even a moment takes courage, even in that willingness. And then to embody that courage, and then to take action. Action, as we know, the word action itself is activating, right? So we must activate that knowingness. But it also means that we have to be aware because the ego will always try to interject the doubt. It will always try to interject the diversion. It will always try to interject whatever it can, whatever smoke screens it can produce. Because, and here's what I want you to remember, the ego's worst nightmare is that you remember who you are. And who you are is a creator. You are here to create. So that is the, initial formula that we have got to integrate and begin this process of embodiment, which is something that, we feel so strongly about. So with that, aim, I'd like to ask you another question. And this is an interesting perspective. Why is it so difficult for women in particular to stay committed to what they desire?
Thank you. Excuse me as I have my hot flash. It's real over here, people.
Sorry, can you just say that again?
I say, excuse me, while I have a hot flash. It's real over here.
No, I meant I meant the question.
Oh, the question. Yeah.
Oh, yes, I'm happy to repeat the question. And thanks for letting us know. Okay, so Amy, why is it so difficult for women in particular to stay committed to what they desire?
Yes, this is very interesting because besides the fact that we were told we're supposed to put everyone else first, have families, put all of them, we're responsible, solely responsible for their upbringing and the way they turn out. I mean, what a horrible thing, to put on a woman, that she's actually responsible for how a human being actually turns out. When oftentimes you give everything to your child and there's still problems and somehow we're to blame. But it's hard to stay committed because, number one, we weren't taught, like I talked about earlier, really to embody and accept who we are and love who we are. And when you commit to something, when you decide that, you're going to build that business, or you're going to have that great relationship, or you're going to go for that college degree, or you want these things, why is it so hard to stay committed? Once you to commit to something and claim it and acknowledge that that's what you want, a lot of fear comes up, a lot of insecurities, a lot of negative talk. There's so many things that come up once you commit to something. And unfortunately, when I talked about like really having that strong base, we have yet to build that base as the creator. And so staying committed to something means that you're going to really meet yourself. You are going to find out who you are in those commitments. You're going to be challenged. You're going to find joy. You're going to have hardship. You're going to have to figure yourself out in a way that's heart-centered. Now, it used to be, I'll just do it. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to be good at it. I'm going to get the perfection thing going. I'm going to, put myself on hold. I'm going to commit to this thing and give everything who I am away. But this new way of being a creator, that's not about commitment. We always commit to self first. That means we say, I'm committing to this thing I want to do. And yet we're taking into consideration us. We're taking into consideration of do I really want to not do my homework because I'm going back to college? Because my partner needs something, or my child needs something, or my friend needs something. And so commitment and women, we need to create a relationship with commitment to self. We have yet to really develop how important our commitment to self is. We keep getting off track from our dreams and our desires by everything, every little thing. And yet, if we were to walk into work and there's like this list of things that we have to do, we're going to do them, but we will not do it for ourselves. So we as women, and many men out there, we need to develop and embody, this is the embodiment part, the value of commitment. What does it look like? What does it mean to you? How do you show up for it? How do you develop it? What does it mean to like commit to something? Is there some fear around it? Right? So really developing this relationship around commitment is very important for us, as we are the creator and not the person who's being told what to do. But actually, no, I want to actually stay committed to what I desire today. That takes a lot of courage. And as things are coming your way, you say, sorry, that has to go on hold. Today, I am doing this for myself. And with that, I'm going to ask Marcy. So what role does self-love have to do with making the transition? I mean, we're talking to Marcy Newman, so we have to talk about self-love.
Always. So first off, I think you brought up some great points about commitment. And I think actually that, leading into self-love itself is that self-love is that process of recognizing your worthiness, right? So commitment only comes from a place of really recognizing that you're worthy of that commitment, whatever it is. It's to see things through, to show up for yourself. But the other thing is that I see self-love as a journey. It is not something you snap your fingers and all of a sudden you are loving yourself. If it was that easy, it wouldn't take the whole lifelong journey that it takes. Because what self-love is, from my perspective, it's the actual journey of accepting ourselves as divine beings. This goes against everything that many people have been taught since childhood, right? And especially if you have had a religious upbringing that has told you that you are less than, that there is something that dominates, a power that dominates, that also may be punishing you, may be ready to take from you your greatest desire at a moment's notice if you misbehave. So self-love is this journey of, and Amy and I talk about radical acceptance all the time. It requires radical acceptance that you are a divine being, that your connection to source is the source of all of the power, the energy that is necessary to create in these higher realms. And so this energy of self-love is actually a frequency. It is a frequency of a very high vibration, and it is a frequency through which we create. Because until we reach this place, and it's what Amy was talking about, is we're still working on this foundation in a lot of ways. It is until we reach that true acceptance that we are divine beings that we may still have a tendency to try to create from a denser vibrational frequency rather than reaching for the higher frequencies that surely do have the potential to create. So, on this journey of self-love, one of the things that we also start to recognize as we're getting into these higher frequencies is that what we will experience is less error in what it is that we are creating. We will come closer and closer to hitting our mark, because in the higher realms, it only has the capacity to create something that is also of the higher vibrational frequencies. It will never create something from a denser vibrational frequency. So this is where we start to close that gap between where we are and where we want to be, and come to this place where we are aligned with our higher self. That's the journey of self-love, being aligned to our higher self, which gives us access to all of the higher energies that we are meant to be creating from, particularly when we are consciously aware that this new world is waiting for us to create it and to step into it as we do. So thank you for that question. And with that, Ames, I'd like to ask you, as a creator, why is it so important to release old beliefs, ideas, and people so they can create?
So you can create, yes. Well, I also want to add to what you said is that being a divine being and knowing that you are loved. Like, I grew up an atheist. I don't have any religious background. I grew up as an atheist. And when I got into the spiritual teachings and learnings, I realized how much perfection was haunting me and crushing my dreams, because I did not feel that power of being loved unconditionally, without question.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I began opening up my crown and allowing love, knowing that I am loved by universe, Mother God, however you want to say it, really shifted my energy out of perfection. Because even if I made a mistake, even if I did something, I knew I was loved as is. And so understanding that I was a divine being was like one big shift. And I was like, what? What, me? And then the second one is just allowing the power of love energy, of the love energy of a higher person, power, whatever you believe in, is really shifted me. And so as a creator, right, I had to release the belief that being a perfectionist was good. I had to release it. I was like, it's not good, because it's keeping me from being a creator. And many of us wear it like a badge of honor, whether you are, writing a paper, creating a business, cleaning the kitchen. That hyper perfectionist like mindset is keeping you from that creative energy. Because in creation, it's never about being perfect. Never. It's always about curiosity, exploring. What if, I'm a math tutor, and I remember I had a math teacher who'd be like, let's just see what happens, as he's putting this crazy, mathematical thing on the thing. And his viewpoint was like, let's just see what happens. And I was like, whoa, what a relief, right? Total relief. And so we must let go of these beliefs, and that certain things take precedence over the act of creating, whether it's your time, whether it's your perfection, whether my big one was I'm shy. That was my big one. I'm shy. And as a performer, what's that going to do for me? Nothing. Right. And so I am the living example of what these old beliefs really squashed my creator self. Right. It squashed it. It really took years off my life, and it really kept me from my dreams. And I didn't know it at the time. I was not in this realm of coaching and spirituality. I wasn't in that realm. I didn't realize how much damage these things were doing on my dreams, on my pursuits. And so until we really first discover what those things are, what are those things that we always say to ourselves? What are those things that we believe about something? And we must find those out. That's part of it. And that's through, really, I'm going to talk about that later, but I don't know if we'll get to time. Let's just talk about it now. It's really about like reflecting, going back and reflecting, and really like being honest with yourself. When you talk about radical acceptance, there's that moment where you're like, I could blame this person for why I didn't do something, or I could look at that painful moment and reflect on it, what was going on with me, what I believed, what I thought I wanted, and really get clear with yourself on that. And then you start really, we're going to do this in the workshop where you go to self-love and forgiveness. And that's, to me, empathy, forgiveness, and self and love is the only way to release, in my opinion, release these negative energies or negative things that are keeping us from where we want to go. And as a creative, this is the beauty of it. As a creative, you can be curious. As a creative, you can be light about it. It doesn't have to be doom and gloom. It doesn't have to. In fact, I would not recommend that. I believe in like really seeing the beauty of who you were in those moments. Those are the things that are going to get you out of these things that are keeping you from your desires. So Marcy, with that, how are we doing? What do you want to do now?
Well, you were just talking about the workshop, and I want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to see what that's all about, because I think it's probably one of the most important things that we're going to offer this year. This workshop is so powerful. So if you can just bring that up for a minute, Amy, let everybody see it. I'll put the registration link in the chat for anyone who wants to sign up now. And then we can go back into probably having time to give one more, question and answer from the two of us. But let's just make sure that everybody knows about the workshop. In the meantime, I'll tell you about last week's workshop, and last month's, I should say, was after our show, and Amy and I came out of that workshop like just incredibly in awe, because we have so much when we all come together to share. And oh my gosh, we felt like our vibrational frequency just did this leap into the etheric. It was absolutely amazing. So I have no doubts that this next one will do exactly the same. And we're going to take it yet to another level. That level is, really just learning how to make the transition, how to set the frequency of the creator so that you become more and more familiar with it, how to identify and fall in love with your abilities to create. You have them. but we need to unearth them. We're going to take you through a powerful self-love meditation and really lead you into laying down those old beliefs, the judgments and the patterns, and how to invite the higher frequencies in: compassion, forgiveness, self-love. And of course, then how to align with those high frequencies that have the capacity to create what you really and truly want to experience. And most importantly, the strategies that are necessary in order for us, all of us, to stay on track, because it's so easy to get, to get sort of pushed off and, to fall into old patterns. Except these strategies are really going to give you the foundation for staying in the energy and recognizing yourself as the magnificent creator that you came here as. So it's going to be great. I can put that in the chat.
I got it already.
Oh, you got it? Okay, great.
So if you would like to sign up for the workshop, it is August 20th. I'm going to put the link in here. You can go ahead and reserve your spot. And this one's here. Marcy, you put in the link to the live Q&A and the Zoom link. So you can go ahead and save your spot there. And if you want to check out the workshop for next week, August 20th, we could put it here. Yeah, super creator. And yeah, last month was beautiful and excellent. We did some great shifting with our audience, and we hope that you jump in. I think I want to go on to the next question, Marcy. Is that
Sure.
fine?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to put our sponsors link in there too. Does anyone have any questions? We're happy to answer about the workshop.
So would it be the same time on the 20th as now?
It's 1:30 PDT. So yeah, I know
4:30. That's 4:30 Eastern time.
Yeah, but she's in Europe.
You're in Europe.
Right?
Yeah.
You're on your own converting that time. No worries.
So I want to. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay. So I want to ask you, Marcy. Why is the transition from manifestor to creator so challenging?
Great question. And in a very simple answer, it is because it will challenge your own beliefs about yourself. And it will constantly do so, again, keeping in mind the ego's worst nightmare is that you remember that you are a creator. So again and again and again, it will look to push you off of that vibrational frequency. But the other thing is, and it's something that Amy and I have both spoken about today, and that is those who surround you are going to notice such a change in your attitude. And if they are not yet there, it will be irritating. It may even be scary to them. It might make them angry. I know for myself, I've experienced with my family in particular, this attitude of like, well, who do you think you are? Like, how do you know this? And how do you know it's true? And the truth is, how do you explain that to someone? How do you explain what is so clearly in your heart and is the focus of every waking hour of your life? How do you explain that to someone who's not of that realm? So the challenge is real. And again, it is not just from the outside. The challenge will come from the inside, because we're so programmed to, number one, live in this vibration of self-doubt, and number two, to fall back into patterns that will keep us out of that vibrational frequency of being a divine creator. And number 3, within us, we have pockets of memory, you might say, where we have had other experiences where we were reaching into these higher realms and got knocked out. And I want you to know that that was not through any fault of yours or any deficiency of yours. Your actual true nature is to be in these higher vibrational frequencies. But the pressures of the outside world and the denser energies that it has been um, sort of purposed for our lives, right, and manipulated to control us, have also prevented us from actualizing our true self. But here's the beauty of it all. The beauty is that it's so clear within our heart that when we get glimpses of it, we actually feel the sense of joy that rises up out of it, the sense of peace that rises up out of this. We move into this place of surrender. We're no longer pushing against anything, and we are surrendering instead to the true nature and those incredible, magnificent energies that are of that nature and are the integral aspects of the creative life force that flows through us at all times. So this transition may be precarious, it might be challenging at times, but the more that you stay in that focused commitment that Amy spoke of earlier to this cause, and make it your mission that every day you'll take yet another step closer, just a step closer into reaching into those realms. And this is what Amy and I are going to be talking about in the workshop, reaching into those realms, being able to identify them, and not from the outside, but from the inside, where you will have total security that they are real, that they are accessible to you, and that you will be creating in ways that you could never have imagined before. And it will be for the highest good of all. So I look forward to that. And I'm certain that you are as well. And again, we are making the shift from manifesting from these old denser energies into creating from the higher vibrational frequency that's accessible to us. So with that, Amy, I want to ask you your final question before we go into our live Q&A. And that is, what is the number one secret to being the creator in your life?
Yes, I was going to touch on this. There's so much I want to say because...
Well, we can talk about it in the Q&A.
Oh, yeah, the Q&A.
All right. Yeah,
That's
everybody, please come in and join us. It's
exactly.
$5, but we'll have an intimate discussion. All of your questions will be answered, and you will join in the conversation. It is well worth your $5. Trust me.
Yeah. So the number one secret is participation. You have to participate. You have to get in the trenches. I mean, I think the difference between being a creator and a manifestor, as a creator, you're in the trenches. You're like, I'm figuring this out. I'm good. This is about me. This is my opportunity to know myself, to get to really create my desires and create my life. And I think as a manifest, I mean, when I look at, those Instagram posts of the manifestor, it's like these beautiful images that are outside of self. And when you're not manifesting what you desire, there's a lot of self-judgment. You give up. You're like, there's some kind of separation between you and the manifestation, as if it's just going to happen because you want it or desire it. I think as a creator, you're in the trenches. You're taking action. You're building what you want to build. You're releasing what you want to release. You're having the courage and the creativity, the creative imagination of how are you going to really approach this block that's keeping you. You know, it doesn't, it becomes something that you are truly interested in, you're passionate about as the creator. You're like, oh, I want to see what this is about. I wonder why my dreams are not coming to fruition, right? And I think participation is the creators, should be the mission. No more hiding, no more hesitating, no more being helpless, no more being hypercritical. That all needs to go bye-bye, right? And you go for the light energy, curiosity. I wonder what happened if I try this. You know, I'm going to really, you know, participate in my community, participate in a coach, or participate in a forum. So I think participation is the creator's holy grail, you know, or they're the thing that really keeps them motivated, you know. And I don't know if you know those types of people. My fiance who passed away, he was that type of person where he was just curious all the time. He was just like, oh, really? What's that like? Wow, interesting. Tell me more. Like, he was just curious about everything. And his life, his mind was so expansive, and his outlook was so wondrous, like having wonder about life, wonder about these endeavors, instead of having this, you know, perfection energy, this I'm a failure, it didn't work this time, so it's not going to ever work, you know, I'm going to give up, you know. As the creator, you understand you must participate. As a creator, you understand it. You're like, I'm sorry, okay, didn't work this time. Get back up and do it again. And it doesn't come from a place of judgment. It comes from a place of, you know, this is your mission. This is who you are. This is what you truly desire. You know what I mean? Like, once you have that commitment to your mission and your desires and what you want, as a creator who participates and knows that you're going down in the trenches, right? You're going to meet yourself. You're going to learn about yourself. Some people are going to go away, but guess what? You're participating. You have this heart-centered desire inside of you that will not stop. And, you know, unfortunately, like the people pleasers and all that, you get to let go of that. And you get to really get into your mission, yourself, your desires. And so that's the number one secret, you know, participating. Just know, like, I can't hide anymore. That's not an option. I used to hide. That's just not an option anymore. If I want to stay committed to, as a creator, to my desires. And I think we hit our time. My goodness, we're going for the live Q&A.
Amy, would you put the link in the chat for people who want to join us for the live Q&A, please?
Sure. And
okay,
then,
so everybody has access to that. And I want to just take this moment to talk about our sponsor, who is Trinity Travel, and they're just so generous. This is for everyone. I'll put the link in the chat, and it is Trinity Travel is gifting you $100 off your hotel bill in any participating hotel around the world. It's amazing. So please just make sure you copy this link and utilize it and enjoy that gift. And of course, send them a thank you. Every time that there's an acknowledgement, it's so well appreciated. We have to acknowledge the generosity. And with that, there's one more thing I want to mention to everyone. We're going to have a bit of a different format for next month.
Oh, yeah.
If you remember in the spring, Amy and I offered you a wonderful, wonderful conference. We brought in 8 other experts, and we're doing the same thing next month for September. And I believe it is September 19th. And it is INpowered Secrets of the Heart-Centered Woman to Transform, Heal, and Rekindle Your Spirit at the Heart-Centered Woman's Fall Conference. So we'll again have other experts coming in to speak with you about different aspects of creating and living heart-centered lives. And yeah, we just look forward to having you join us again. Please, if you have any questions, anything you want to discuss deeper, join us in our post-show program. Amy has put the link in for you to register for that. And so we'll be entering into another Zoom room, and we do hope that you'll join us. And also I want to send a real huge thanks to all the people who have so generously been donating to Amy's and my show. It's really wonderful because, as you know, Amy and I have been offering this show free for the last 3 years. And of course, there are different costs that are associated with it. And we're just so grateful for the support and appreciation that we've been getting from so many of you. It's really lovely. So with that, I want to thank everyone for being here. We love you and appreciate you so, so very much. And please let us know if there's any subject that you would like us to address in the future. Amy and I are always curious to know how we can best serve you. So much love to you. And we'll see you hopefully in the chat, post this show in the discussion group. And otherwise, we'll see you next month. Oh, no, in the workshop next Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, please join us. We've got an incredible program set up for you. By the way, that's a 2-hour workshop. Okay, 2 hours, and you have full access to Amy and I during that workshop. Get all of your questions answered, and yeah, it's all real-time stuff. All right, it's our greatest joy. So much, love you, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.